Hello and welcome to show. Wait, what? What? Welcome to Study Abroad Dream Big Show, and you are listening to Manish.
This is a series of podcasts that shares international students' thoughts and experiences while studying abroad. This series will help prepare you both mentally and physically for your time abroad and also allow you to implement positive changes upon returning to your home countries. Please enjoy meeting our guests and getting some ideas on studying abroad from our show.
Hello guys, is everything good? Well, it should be. And I hope you are following our episodes regularly and enjoying it, because this entire series is only to help you prepare for your studies in abroad. Well, if you remember all the episodes, then you must know that we have given you a lot of new ideas and experiences. In first episode, we talked about the basic knowledge of studying abroad, how to find it, how to apply it, what to do once you arrive. In second episode, we went more in depth and talked about all the challenges and problems or shocks that an international student faces during their study abroad. Last episode, we talked about every weird, crazy, funny things that international and American or host country students usually do. Overall, we talked about everything from preparing you for studying abroad to living in your host country. So, if we go chronologically, then we must talk about some professional aspects. After all, it's about your future. So, we need to talk about some professional aspects of your studying abroad. What is the future? What are those basic responsibilities? How does international student implement positive changes upon returning to their home countries? Is it only about study abroad or something else? Well, definitely, there is a lot of different activities that you might do if you are an international student. So tonight we are going to talk about all these things that international students practically do to get experience and be professional during their studying abroad, and how their creative and innovative ideas turns into reality. So I have a great personality with me tonight. He has been connected to this field for a long time. So let's welcome him to our show. Beau, welcome to Study Abroad Dream Big Show.
Manish, thank you for having me today. It's good to be here.
Yeah, guys, he's a big man. He's very popular for international students. And Beau, as you are listening, today our goal is to share some of the great stories of international students.
Now, Manish, I don't know if you'd call me a big man. I'm pretty average. I don't know if I'm anything special, but thanks for the compliment.
But you have seen students doing beyond their best to get into American workplace, community service, to get experience. Why do you think it's very important for international students to do some sort of work while they are time in abroad?
You know, Manish, that's a very good question, and that's a question that we get from a lot of international students when they're looking at studying in the United States. I think foremost, students are always mindful of, hey, I want to go to a really big name university. I want to go to Harvard. I want to go to Stanford. I want to go to Yale. But at the same time, we're always talking to students about there's a lot more to it. And a big piece of that is about experience and work experience, because, you know, students can go to the biggest name colleges and universities in the world, but if they get done with their degree and all they have to show for it is a piece of paper that says that they went to a college, that's not necessarily going to help them with the most important thing, and that's ultimately finding a job. We talk about it in the United States as a catch-22, and what that means is a student who graduates from college isn't able to find a job because when they apply for the job, the employer wants experience. But the student will never get experience if no one ever gives them a job in the first place. So this is where those activities that international students do can really come in help handy. Those volunteer experiences can give them experience. Internships can give them experience. And then, of course, they can always find jobs either on campus or off campus through their optional practical training or curricular practical training options if they are F1 students. So the real important thing, it's about building skills. We talk about skills being soft skills or people skills. These are really helpful because it shows that an individual is able to work on teams, able to work with authority figures. And we really see that play out when students go into interviews, for example. And we often see individuals will get questions which are called behavioral questions. So I might ask you, Manish, tell me about a time that you were working with a supervisor that you didn't necessarily agree with, and how did you handle that? Yeah. That gives you the opportunity to demonstrate that how you can use your people skills, your soft skills, and even in difficult situations. if you haven't had those experiences, you aren't really able to demonstrate your ability in those questions very well. So it's really, really important. The other side is also very practical, and that has to deal with your technical skills. So, if you're going into radio or if you're going to be an engineer and you've actually had some hands-on experience, that's going to make you sound and look like the kind of candidate that an employer wants to hire. And that goes two ways too. It's not always just about finding jobs. It also can be applicable to those students who want to go up to the next degree level. So if you're finishing a bachelor's degree and you want to get into a really good name brand graduate program, those sorts of essay questions and questions that you're going to get from the faculty and graduate boards that are making the decisions, they're going to be looking at those same things. They're going to want to see a motivated student who has really good experience.
Absolutely. And as you said, volunteer work is one of the best. So, but sometimes it's totally up to me. Sometimes my students thinks like, why would I do volunteer work? Why would I spend my time? So do you think it's mandatory for each students to do volunteer work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I would say it's absolutely an important thing to do. And unfortunately, it's one of the hardest things for students to do because it doesn't offer any what we would call immediate gratification. A student can have their responsibilities for their school. They have to write papers. They have to take exams. And when it comes time to you have some free time on the weekend, they just want to relax. But at the same time, if a volunteer activity comes up, that might be during time where they might normally get to do the things that they want to do. So not only are they having to, put in more work, but they're also sacrificing, and they don't get any immediate benefit. That benefit comes further down the road because those volunteer activities are giving the individual experience. And volunteer activities can turn into internships, and internships can turn into jobs. And that's what's really important, because it's easy for an individual to go out and find volunteer opportunities because there's plenty of places where they're looking for volunteers to put in their time and effort because they're not getting paid anything. There's a lot fewer opportunities when it comes to job experiences. So students want to run out there and get a job because, hey, I'm going to make some money, but nobody's going to want them if they don't have any experience. Whereas, there's lots of places out there that are looking for volunteers because they're unfortunately not able to offer the individual any sort of compensation.
Mm-hmm. And well, besides volunteer work, how do you think how important is to have an internship?
I would say today in the world, the internship opportunity is more important than the place that you went to college. So, you could go to a really big name university, you could go to, an Ivy League school, but if you don't come out with any internship opportunities, you're not going to be as competitive as a student who went to a lower level school who did do those internships. Because an internship is your opportunity to do the work in the field that you are an expert in, you're studying, and you are coming out with experience that you can talk about, that you can demonstrate to a future employer. And that's going to get you the job that you want in the future, much more so today than any sort of degree coming from a specific name institution.
Absolutely. And I bet you must know some students who have utilized all the skills and experiences that they have learned while studying abroad and gone back home to bring positive changes in their community by their creative and innovative ideas. Can you tell us something about those students and their stories?
That's a good question. And we really see a lot of different types of students studying in the United States. Some are on certain programs that allow them to study for a year, and they only have a short amount of time to develop some experience. We've had, for example, a student, she came from Indonesia, and she was interested in studying media, and she was ultimately looking at going into journalism. So when she returned home, she found herself working for a very nice media company there in Indonesia. We had another student come from India. He was here for a short while studying photography. He went back home, started his own photography studio, and has done very, very well with it. But that's not the trajectory that all students take. Sometimes they go home and they realize, I haven't built up enough skills to ultimately achieve what I want to achieve. So we see them come back. So we've had a student from Turkey who, after doing 1 year in a grant exchange program, ultimately came back to us to complete a full 2-year associate's degree. And then after that, transferred into a 4-year university, and in 1 more year, finished a bachelor's degree, and now is working on a master's degree. So he really recognized that, the first study in the state opportunity was just the first stepping stone. So he's going to take himself through several more levels to build up the educational experience that he needs, then ultimately pull the trajectory that he wants to in life. Now that goes two ways too. Remember that, Americans, we also do study abroad. So I have colleagues in my international programs department who did a study abroad educational opportunity when they were students. And because of that, they fell in love with working in international related work. So ultimately now they work in international programs at a college and university. So that's a great experience. I can even use myself as an example. So I didn't study abroad. I actually did a service project abroad. In the United States, we have the U.S. Peace Corps. So in 2 years, I was living in China working at a college there. I really found that to be great experience, learning about working with international students, being in international education, so that when I came back to the United States, that was my career trajectory. And then I could also point to that experience working abroad to help me get the position that I have today.
It's really amazing to hear about all the stories. They are really great. And I was talking to some of the international students from this year, and most of them have a lot of ideas. And when they go back, they will definitely implement them. But sometimes they may need some sort of help. So do you think there is any way to get help from here?
We see this question come up a lot because I think students come to the United States and they work at a college like Northeast Wisconsin Technical College where we have really good labs, really good resources, very state-of-the-art equipment, and then they go home and they have these skills from using this equipment, and then they go, I want to do this at home, but oh wait, I don't have the materials to do it with. I don't have the money to purchase all the equipment. And that can be a real challenge for students. It can be a source of frustration, like, well, I just don't have the same sort of computer resources that they had back in the United States. And where am I going to find the money to purchase all of this stuff? So that can be a source of frustration. We have to remind students that that's one of the challenges that you need to overcome. You have to use innovation, creativity to try to work around those problems. And ultimately, never forget that you can always engage in what we call crowdsourcing. So you can look for people that might be able to contribute a little bit to your project. You can go online nowadays, and through web resources, you can create crowdsourcing. So if you have a project that's going to serve a small community in your hometown with something educational, people might want to get behind that project, and you might be able to raise funds that way. But you may also find that you can get donations or in-kind service. So, if it's an equipment problem, maybe you find a manufacturer that you volunteered with back in the United States, and you contact them and say, we're trying to do a small project to help this community. Is there any way that you could ever donate some old or used equipment? And certainly folks can get some resources that way. Or finally, you can look for help that's in kind. So maybe someone back in the United States can put some work into designing web pages or doing some software development just to help you out with your project. So it's really about networking, and I think that's the most important thing, working with the people around you and then working with the people that you've met along the way to try to get some help developing those resources that you need to ultimately pull off the projects that you want to do, and to never be frustrated because you don't necessarily start with all the materials that you wish that you had from the beginning.
Well, that's true. And apart from that fact, I really want to ask you, how about the program that the international students are coming through? For example, I was talking to our guests before, Eli, Carabo, Camilo, and they were talking about their program CCI. Do you think those kind of program really help them when they go back home and want to do something for themselves or for their community?
I think it does, and it does in those kind of ways that we described with some of the past students. It gives them some experiences, and it gives them some skills that they didn't have before they came, but it also can just be that first step of many along the way of developing a very robust professional career, and then developing those contacts either back in the United States or in the places where they live to then go out and be successful.
Well, so it means, again, it's very clearly visible that your host country or your program always wants you to go back and do something for your community. They're ready to provide such things. And the only thing you need to do is explore everything you know, share with others, and be a change maker. So, Beau, last thing I want to ask you, since someone come abroad for their studies, how do you think it will help them make a safe and better career in their home country? I mean, how do you think volunteer work or community work or internship will help them? Why do they need to do those kind of activities?
For a long time, I think people from all around the world have come to the United States because it's known as a land of opportunity. It may be an opportunity for those who stay ultimately, but it's also an opportunity for those who come for a short period of time. As we talked about, you're really able to engage in networking with people from around the world here. You're able to learn from the skills, the education system, and you're ultimately taking all of those experiences and those friends and that network back home with you so that you can apply it in the place where you live. And that's ultimately the most important thing because in coming to the United States, we're developing friendship. Now Beau James in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I know Manish in India. And in the future, we're going to have that opportunity to continue to network, and our communities will now have grown closer together because of that. And when that happens, it does make the world a safer place. It does make the world a better place. So it really has a lot of benefits for all of us, not just the immediate benefits of our skills and experiences making us more employable, but ultimately that we make more friends and we really develop closer relationships with people around the world.
All right. So we have given you enough about all the successful students in the past. But it's not about them. It's about you. Now it's your time to do something for yourself, for others. We would be more than happy to share your story in the future to motivate someone else as a role model. So keep up your hard work and get involved into American workplace more and more, because you know better than me how will it help you to make a better world. Thank you very much, Beau, for being here tonight and giving this information to them. Thank you guys for listening to us, and I hope you have got some good thoughts from our show. So you should start thinking about your future and how can you bring positive changes in your community or in your surrounds. And make yourself proud until you meet again next week. Thank you very much.
Hi guys, a few suggestions from this episode. Number 1, you are coming abroad not only for your studies, but during your time abroad you need to gain as much work experience as you can. So get involved in any kind of work that can help you gain knowledge and experience with your studies. Number 2, in the United States or in any country, people always value your ideas and knowledge, so open up and share them with others. Number 3, take part by participating in different community service activities. Number 4, you will get a chance to do volunteer work and also an internship, so try to give your best effort in order to learn and share your experiences with others. Number 5, once you go back to your home country, utilize all the skills, experiences, and knowledge that you have learned while studying abroad. Number 6, use your strength to improve everything around you when you return home. Number 7, try to get involved in your community and bring positive changes by sharing all the skills with others. Number 8, continue to use every soft skill such as leadership and communication, as well as different life skills in the future. And number 9, always try to learn as much as you can, whenever you can, and be there to help others learn and grow into leaders just like you. Thank you.